Hi and welcome to another episode of the Ruko School. This one is dedicated to the assembly of the Ruko tool Padlock, and as you can see on the different actuators there's actually two different versions of it. That's because one is key retaining and the other is non-key retaining. So they all look the same but they are put together in different ways, so let's have a look at what you do. Because chances are that you will at some point have to take one of these apart. Maybe you've been picking it and you just want to pull the snowman out to cut the lock, and for some odd reasons all these parts are stuck in the block and you pull everything out and now you need to find out how they go back together. So let's figure it out, because you can actually find out just by looking at the parts. So let's give it a try. First of all, there's actually still two steel balls here, one in each side, and to get them to stay a bit in position you can put some grease on the balls. That makes them a bit sticky and that makes your assembly a lot easier. And in order to insert this actuator here, you need to first remove all the cat hairs, and then you need to completely press down on the shackle, because that way the balls can move into the shackle and free up the full size of the hole. If we look at this actuator quickly, we can see it has a shallow cut and a deep cut. The shallow cut must always be facing the closed end of the shackle, and the deep cut is towards the open end of the shackle, because to prevent the shackle from falling all the way out, as we can see up here, the ball only goes halfway in and therefore always keeps hold of the shackle. So this is how it needs to be in its open position, and we know that it has turned clockwise to open, so that means this will be our closed position. So just take our tweezers and we dump it all the way in the hole. You might need to jiggle a bit to get it in position, and now it's closed. So this is our plug turn limitation washer, and as we can see it needs to be this way so that we have our horizontal rest position and we can turn clockwise to the vertical open. So we need to dump this one in. And there we go. Now if we take a plug, always pull the key out one notch to make sure that it's not 180. Then we just dump it in and we check our movement. It works, and check that it's completely key retaining. We can't take the key out, and this way now it works. So this is the 2641 key retaining Ruko Asset 2. Next, this one. This can be a bit of a problem, so we need to do some reasoning on this one as well. So first of all, we check that the two steel balls are in here, and again we look at the actuator and it has a deep and a shallow, but then we have this part and the spring, and we can see the spring has this little square that fits on top of this one, so they go together that way. That's the only way they can go together. Now let's figure out how we deal with this one, because if we put this in and we turn, then we can sort of get the spring to catch onto this and get this part on the other side. Now we have a spring tension on this part. So what would be a reasonable way to? Again, we know that once we have the key turned, it needs to open. So that means when we turn the key, we force this to this position. Again, this is for the deep cut, so it needs to be on the open end. And if The steel ball on the open shackle prevents this one from turning. What happens when we try to take the key out is that we tension the spring, and then we can see that everything stays. We can take the key out, and once we close the shackle, it flips, and then again we can turn. To open, we force it, because these two parts actually are connected this way. Again, we take our key out and it flips back. So it needs to go in this way. So let's give it a try. So we put this one in, align this, take our tweezers, dump it in, remove it gently. So now we can see we have everything is level down here and it looks good. And then we take this part, again we make sure that it's vertical and it can go clockwise to, or it's horizontal and can go clockwise to vertical, and we need to dump it in this way. So if we dump it in, I think it's all good. We take again the snowman, put it in, test, take the key out, the padlock is still open, we push it in, it snaps in position and it stays locked. Once again we do another test, it can open. Now we just try to close it and take the key out, it works. If we take the key out without, it also works, and once we push it down, it locks in position. And once we have fully function tested this lock several times, we can put the screw in and the lock is back together, ready for our next picking. So that's how to deal with a lock where everything just comes flying out. Okay, guess I can start over now. But that's it for this one. Take care. Bye for now.